everyone, and today I'm doing scary story times. If you do get scared easily, I recommend not watching this video, but if you think you can handle it, which it's not that bad, you may stay as long as you want. So let's get into it. I'm trying to game while I do the voiceover, which is probably not that smart, but yeah, let's get into it. Notice these are not my stories. Last year I was flying home from a business trip, and when my plane was delayed in an unfamiliar city, I forced to spend the night there. I searched online and booked a cheap hotel that was close to the airport. When I arrived at the hotel, I was disappointed by how dirty and shabby it was. I thought about trying to find another hotel, but everything was fully booked that weekend. When I got to my room, there was a heavy and unpleasant smell in the air. The whole atmosphere felt stifling and cold. I pulled back the bedclothes and found something strange on the sheets beneath. It was a pair of rusty metal scissors. "This is terrible," I said to myself. "The maid hasn't even bothered to clean the room properly." I picked them up in disgust and placed them on the bedside table. I was so tired that I couldn't stay awake. I went to bed and decided I would complain about the scissors in the morning. Lying between the dirty sheets, I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep. In the middle of the night, I had an unusual dream. I felt a heavy weight pressing down on me. I got the strangest feeling that someone was watching me. I'm not sure what time I woke up, but the room was still pitch black. When I reached out and switched on the bedside lamp, my hair stood on end. The rusty scissors were lying on my chest, and the blades were closed on either side of my neck, digging into the skin. One more inch and the scissors would have cut my throat. That was the tale of rusty scissors, which isn't too scary, but they'll probably get worse throughout this whole video. Hold on, I know. Okay. This is called Shadow and the Frog. When I was in elementary school, my father would often take me hiking in the mountains. One night we had stayed out too long, and it began to grow dark. A thick fog drifted over the hillside, and we could barely see the path in front of us. My father was holding my hand to make sure I didn't fall. As we made our way down the slope, I noticed a small, shadowy figure peering out of the mist on the path ahead. My father suddenly squeezed my hand very tightly. "Ow, Dad, that hurts," I cried. My father looked down at me. His face was grim. "Close your eyes," he barked, "and don't open them again until I say so." His tone of voice was so stern that I did as I was told without questioning it. He kept a tight grip on my hand. With my eyes tightly shut, I stumbled alongside him through the fog. When we passed through the spot where the shadowy figure had been, I heard a small voice muttering, "Die, die, die, die." The rest of the way down, my father was silent, and it wasn't until we got back home that he finally allowed me to open my eyes. Since that time, he refused to speak about the incident. 20 years later, I paid my father a visit. He was drinking some alcohol, and we were having a heart-to-heart conversation. Something reminded me of the strange incident on the mountain path, and I decided to ask him about it. "Remember that small, shadowy figure in the fog?" I said. "Who was it?" My father was silent for quite a while, and eventually, in a low voice, replied, "It was you." With that, he refilled his glass and refused to discuss it any further. So that was scarier. Whoa, I have a mustache? What? The next story we have is called The Bread Bag. There was a young girl whose parents didn't have very much money. She was the youngest of 3 sisters, and she always had to use hand-me-downs from her siblings. All of her clothes were worn and threadbare because they were second-hand. Even the red bag she brought to school every day was torn and tattered. The girl asked her mother to buy her a new bag, but her mother said it was impossible. They just couldn't afford it. One day the girl was walking down the street when she spotted a shiny new red school bag lying in the grass by the side of the road. Looking inside, she found that it didn't have any name on it, and she wondered who it belonged to. Suddenly, the girl thought this bag must be a gift from God. The girl took the red bag home and hid in the room. She was worried that if her mother saw it, she would tell her to bring it back. In the middle of the night, while her mother was fast asleep, the girl got up and transferred the contents of her old bag into the new one. "Tomorrow I will go to school with my new red bag," she said to herself. Suddenly the red school bag began to move and it started biting the girl's feet. She was so shocked that she couldn't cry out, and the pain caused her to faint. When the mother went into her room the next day, the girl was nowhere to be seen. All that remained was one shiny new red bag with no name on the inside. So, creepy, I would say. Um, the bag ate her. The fourth story we're reading. Forget how many there are, but it's fine. I'll stop when I feel like I need to stop. Photos from the school trip. When I was in 6th grade, our entire class went on a school trip. All of the kids in the class were taking pictures with cameras and phones. When we returned to school, we were browsing through the photographs when all of a sudden one girl said, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" Everyone scrambled to see what she was looking at. In the photograph, one of the boys in our class was sitting on the bus. There didn't seem to be anything strange about the picture until you looked very closely in the reflection of his window. His face in the reflection looked as if it was yellow and bulging, bubbling and mutating, and there appeared to be a strange white sheep floating beside him. When you turned the picture upside down, you realized it was a school. It was horrific. When the boy saw the photograph of himself, he burst into tears and had a panic attack. Everyone else in the class began to freak out. The teacher had to send the boy to the school nurse, and the principal banned all of us from speaking about the strange photo. Everyone was scared. 7 days later, the boy died of a brain tumor. Ouch. Okay. I'll offer King Kubo. I don't know who this person is. Yay. Okay. The storage room is our fifth story. When my father retired from his job, he had a lot of time on his hands. He began looking for something to occupy himself. A space at the end of the hallway is such a waste, he said. We could turn it into a storage room. My father was like a man possessed, and he spent 2 days working on his new project. He hung 2 shelves on the wall and fitted a door, creating a small cupboard at the end of the hallway. When I came home the next day, he was nowhere to be seen, and I noticed that there was a shiny new padlock on the door of the storage room. The following evening, my father still hadn't returned. My mother was very anxious and begged me to look inside the storage room. Both of us were wondering what he was keeping in there. I broke the padlock and opened the door. Inside, we found my father sitting on the floor. Yeah, I just said that. His eyes were vacant, and he was laughing softly to himself. What was he doing? How did he lock the door on the inside? We never got an answer to our questions because my father had gone insane. Today he is still sitting alone in his storage room, staring into space and smiling happy to himself. Yeah, that's all the stories I have today, but I'll find some soon, I promise. Okay, bye.